Hi everyone. I just wanted to give you some of my thoughts on a couple of different things regarding relationships. I was watching a movie and one of the actors said that attraction often gets confused with rightness. And what he meant by that is when you are attracted to someone, you naturally want to pursue them because you're attracted, and your being is telling you that, oh, this could be right because I'm attracted. Let's pause for a second and think about that. I do not agree. I agree with what he's saying. It does, it gets confused with that. And I feel like I bet a lot of us can relate, because I know I can. When I have been attracted to someone and pursued them, or vice versa, I'm like, oh, this feels right, this feels good. And then it's not. How many times have we been there? So what does consist of rightness? What is it then? Initial attraction, okay, that helps, right? Have you ever had to step outside of yourself and really take a look at your situation, their situation, and think about the chemistry and can I see myself with this person? It takes a lot, to get to know people. When you are pursuing someone, it's not just about their physical appearance. You have to have that connection. You have to have, that energy that can match up and level up with each other. I think what makes a successful relationship is tandem growth. And what I mean by that is when you are fulfilled within yourself, you really have to know yourself if you're going to have a successful relationship. You have to. Because if you don't, you are going to look for voids to be filled within yourself subconsciously in those other people. When those other people aren't able to fulfill those voids within yourself, that is where the breakdowns happen, because you're looking for all these things and you're not getting them, and you're not going to, because it's not the other person's job to fulfill those, it's yours. When I say tandem growth, that means you check all your boxes for yourself, and someone else is on that same journey checking off their boxes for themselves, and you come together and you can grow from that. Do you look for things in others to be fulfilled? Yes. Do you want affection? Of course you do. Do you want, all the whatever you need? To each his own. I don't know what you need. But I do know that a lot of times relationships don't work because people are looking to others to fulfill voids that they need to fulfill within themselves. And I think it's important to kind of reflect on your relationship, past relationships, to grow from that, right? All my past relationships that have not worked out, because there have been some, haven't worked out for a reason. But am I bitter about it? Of course not. I look at it as growth. I've learned from it. I've learned about myself. That's the best part, is learning about yourself, even though your intentions were good and you tried. It just wasn't for you. There's nothing wrong with that. Relationships can be so hard to navigate, and that's only like the tip of the iceberg. But I kind of just wanted to talk about that for a minute, because I think that it can relate to everyone in some way, shape, or form. And I feel like relationships, especially now with how, we're living, are harder and harder to come by, and people will do anything not to be alone these days. But sometimes you find yourself in that solidarity. You find what you like, you find what you don't like, you find things in yourself that you never knew you needed, or had in you. And it takes two people. That's the hardest part, is you can be totally whole within yourself, but if you don't find someone else that's hole within themselves, they're going to be looking for the same void fills in you that they need to get from themselves, and it's never going to work unless you have someone actively all the time. That's the thing. Actively. Am I perfect? Of course not. Is anyone? Perfection doesn't exist. Just putting that out there. It doesn't. But if you can get someone that is actively working on themselves as much as you are working on yourself, and that's the thing. People, think that they are fine with who they are, and I feel like everyone's journey, no one is fulfilled all the way. No one knows it all. No one has been through it all. No one fully understands themselves, let alone anyone else. You could be together 102 years and you can still learn something new about someone. I think that in order to have a successful relationship, you really have to communicate with your partner and yourself. That's a big one. With yourself about what you need and how you feel. Have you ever been caught in that fence line of, well, I'm just not gonna, talk about this because I don't want to fight about it, or I'm just not gonna voice my opinion because it's just gonna start something, or just go with the flow so it flows. Does not work like that, but teach his own. When you can reflect on yourself and stand strong in your beliefs and thoughts and communicate them with your partner, they have to also be willing to hear you and to objectively, that's the hugest part, is objectively add to the communication and not take things so personal. Have you ever had a conversation with a significant other and they feel like you're attacking them or directing things toward them or sneak dissing them? Because I have. And that wasn't even my intention. My intention was to communicate my feelings, but they took it personal instead of looking at it from where I'm coming from. And that's another thing, is messages getting received the way you did not send them. That is a huge thing with communication, is you can tell someone, things all day long, and until they are going to, I'm going to rephrase that. When you send your message, you have to customize that message to a specific person so they can understand and receive it the way you are intending them to. That is one of the biggest breakdowns of communication, is when you're not receiving a message or giving a message that is being received the way you intended it to. That's one of the hardest parts. It's called the art of communication for a reason. It's a literal art, because you have to be able to tailor and customize your messages for that specific person, A, so they can understand it, B, so they can process it and not have their defenses up. Sometimes, your significant other or someone you're talking to or whoever you're communicating with, what triggers them. Sometimes, not all the time. Those are things you have to look out for and catch yourself on and say, okay, if I say this, how will they take this? And sometimes you have to be able to listen too, because listening is just as big of a necessity as talking and communicating your feelings. You have to listen to the other person in order for you to be successful. You have to really take your partner's words, process them, and don't just listen to answer back. That is so annoying. Let me tell you, that's happened before, where someone's just listening to you just so they can respond back, and you're just like, did you not get any of that? No? Oh, okay. Be mindful of that. Be mindful of that within yourself. You can't control what your partner does or whomever you're talking to does, but you can control A, your reactions to it, and B, you can control what you're doing, how you're listening. Are you actively listening? Are you listening to reply? Are you, how are you doing it? With that being said, that was a good a good rant, because I think that everyone needs to hear that. It's good communication, and it's just something to think about, think about how you're communicating with people. Even me, with this video, I hope one thing I said resonates true with someone, and if that's the case, I've done my job. I've spoken my truth. Now go speak yours.